I can remember thinking, this is new to me. We got our hands on these objects, we dug them out, and that is kind of where the real sort of negativity and darkness begins. Yo, paranormal peeps, how you doing? So far you've heard about the story of the case from Cardiff. This case was basically the perfect storm of paranormal. There were so many layers to this case that it created an energy, a force that I can't really describe. Now, this thing will create so much negativity, and you won't see it. You won't see this stuff coming. But I've been given the heads up because I've gone through a thing where I've had a needle stick injury through work. I'm like an environmental protection officer, and I was searching some waste somebody'd dumped, and somebody put a fresh needle in it, in the knot of this blanket, and it stuck in my hand. And I was put on HIV tablets, antivirus ones. I was given hepatitis jabs, and I've had to go for blood tests every week for the 6 weeks, and I'm going to find out in about probably about 3 months whether I've caught anything. These books, well, like I said, we're in my car for 3 days. Now, most of you have probably seen Harry Potter, and you've seen the way that Harry, Ron and Hermione are feeling when they're carrying around the Horcrux. Well, you got to times that by about 50,000 just to even get close to the negativity I am feeling, and this thing is swamping me. It's like filling my thoughts. But these books had been done with, basically, there'd been sex magic used in them and other objects in the home and other forms of magic, and it was the last objects that we basically dealt with. And what I think, all the malice and all the cruelty and all the negativity had attached themselves to these books because they were this kind of epicenter for it, and there was like the last basis of negativity. So I had wrapped them in, I put IV between the pages. I placed them in like a well, basically, in South Wales. And I knew it was bad because I should have researched it, and I knew, but I just had to get these objects away from me, and they were causing me stress. And spirit were trying with all their might to tell me, what was going down. But I did it through love, because the girl I was investigating who owned these objects had been through hell with her life, this house, other people around her. I mean hell, she'd been through hell, right? She couldn't get away from this house. This house just kept pulling her back. On the day she moved, she actually did it in secret, and when they were outside the house, they weren't allowed to talk about it in the house because she was afraid the house would not let her move. I mean, that's how serious it is. I'm laughing because I know how that sounds, but I know it's how I felt dealing with this case.
Are you saying that she needs to have faith? Are you saying that's what she needs to have? And a belief. And a
Now there was a binding spell for negative energy, and I bore the weight of this negativity on myself. Now, here's the tricky part. Everybody involved and everybody around me had started to be affected in some form or other with personal things, and they were to do with all sorts, and they were to do with like relationship issues. I was dealing with my own relationship issues. And everybody seemed to be around me. I can't go into too much detail, guys, because it's very personal, but you'll just have to take it on faith and take my word for it that they were all linked to relationship issues. Old members of my team had come back in contact with us. Now I'm starting to see this, and I said to Spirit, if you want me to do these things, if you want me to deal with them, and I mean this thing really can affect you. I mean, it can destroy things. Now this is power. This is like the power of, this is like the battle of good and evil, and I'd stepped my foot over that line, and now I was in kind of trouble. But the fact I'd done it through love for this person, and I wanted to see him have a better life and move forward and progress, was a little bit of saving grace on my part. But it has started to affect the people around me in some really bizarre ways. And I was trying to tell people that this is what I thought was going on, and they wouldn't accept it, and they wouldn't buy into it, and they wouldn't believe it, because, you know, this thing about curses, like if you believe a curse, then it creates a curse. But this was more than that. This was magic. I was communing. I'd now gotten my own place. I'd moved away from my family, and I'd gotten my own place because I was really concerned about how far these things were going to try and stop, how far they were going to take it to try and stop me. And there was, it wasn't just because of that, but that was one of my concerns, and how I was feeling because of this needle stick injury and everything else. And it was just, oh my God, it was so much. So yeah, I had to deal with it on my own. Basically, I was on my own with it, and I was like doing all this, like basically red string from this point to this point and this point to this point, like you see in the movies kind of stuff. And it was all leading back to these books, and it was all leading back to this case and what had been used. And going through it, I found out something about Lionel Thanthorpe, as I talked about in the other video. And he had basically done sermons. This is what I was told. And something had happened in these sermons. And basically, somehow, he used to use a projector, and somehow, I think porn had come up in a service. And it was a couple of times, and it ruined the guy, apparently. That's what I was told. And because I've been trying to contact him since, and because I'd like to speak to him, but he's a very, very ill man. Now, I don't think for a second. I mean, this guy, I met him, and his energy was amazing, and he's a supernatural vicar, and I don't think for a second that was a genuine mistake. I think this thing, this book, this house, him blessing it, had a hand in it. And it was bizarre. And then I got placed with blame for different things, and honestly, and no one would buy into it, and no one would believe me. And I was trying to tell them that there was this thing, and they wouldn't have it and wouldn't accept it. And so spirit were trying with all their might to get me out of it, to get my foot back over the other side of that line. And I sat for 6 months and I communed with spirit, and I sat and listened, and we talked about it, and I learned about, you know, I sort of like went back over the contract with good and evil that was made in the beginning. Basically, like, if you do something, you go on that side of the fence, and then they can do something to get you back over, but then they can do something to pull you back over, and there is a contract. There has to be a contract, otherwise one will take precedent over the other, and as with good and evil, it's us that makes them decisions. We have a choice, and you choose which side of the fence you want to be on. They don't force you. The devil can only tell you and advise you and offer you. It's up to you whether you take it or listen or act on it. But as I did destroy this book, it was said that I would bear the weight of this thing. So I've done a few things to lift it. I've looked at it, and it is still sort of there in the background, not as strong, but it is still there. Nevertheless, I will find the right person who will help me completely take it off, but I'm just waiting for that person to come to me. I tried to find that right person and I couldn't really, and so I'm just waiting. Spirit said there will be the moment when that person finds me, and it will just happen, and they'll have the right advice and show me how to get out of it and deal with it. It's, you know, it's real. Thought magic and words and the power of things are real, and they will, if you're not careful, bite you on your ass. And that's why you see these paranormal groups on, these terries doing some really stupid stuff like summoning demons and God knows what else, and then they're sitting there and they know who they are, and they're sitting there wondering why everybody's being negged to them, and everybody's giving them a shit time, everybody's running them down and trying to destroy them. And then they go and summon more demons. Don't do it. Don't. I can promise you, if you come across an object that's haunted, treat it with respect. Deal with it carefully and research it. Put it somewhere safe and research it. And you will, because you need to know exactly what that object is and how to undo it and how to make sure that it doesn't affect you, or you will be asking for trouble.